Welcome to Paranormal, fiction first, then the truth. If you have a story of your own, there's a place to share it at paranormallymedia.com. The website is in the episode description. Tonight's story is as follows. You get used to being alone out there. Not just alone in the sense that there's nobody around, alone in a way that feels normal and expected. Hours on the road, long stretches with nothing but headlights and whatever your mind decides to do with the quiet. You learn to settle into it. That night wasn't any different. Same route I'd run before, same kind of stop I'd made 100 times. Pull off, park, kill the engine, rest. It was late. The lot was empty when I rolled in, not unusual. A few light poles overhead, half of them working, the rest just there, buzzing faintly, throwing light so faint that reaching the ground was an accomplishment. I backed into a space near the edge, out of habit, easy exit, engine off, and silence. Strange in my ears after hours of engine rumble. I hopped in the sleeper, lay there, just letting everything stop, listening to nothing. No cars pulling in, no doors, no voices, just that low hum from the lights overhead. I closed my eyes, ready to welcome sleep. And that's when I heard it. A knock. Light and close. And I didn't move right away. Sometimes you hear things out there, metal cooling and wind shifting and your mind filling in gaps. But then it came again. Same spot, driver's side. Not a random noise. Someone was at the door. I got up slow to not rock the cab. I took a peek. There was no good reason for anyone to be out there. Not at that hour. Not in a lot that empty. But there they were. Two of them. Standing just outside the window. Kids. Young. Too young to be out there alone. And they were standing there just looking, not at me, at the door, waiting. I didn't roll the window down and I didn't open the door. I just stood there and looked at them, trying to figure out where they came from. There were no cars in the lot, no buildings close enough for them to have walked from, nothing behind them, just open space and dark. The nearest light decided to come back to life, just enough to illuminate their backs faintly, and that's when I got a better look. Their clothes were normal, nothing stood out, but something didn't sit right. It was a feeling, the kind you don't ignore. The one in front raised a hand and knocked again. Same rhythm, same pressure. Then he spoke. "Can you let us in?" His voice was steady and flat, not scared, just empty. And I didn't answer, I didn't move. He didn't repeat himself right away, he just stood there waiting. He knew I heard him. The second one hadn't said anything yet, just standing slightly behind the first, head tilted down. That felt wrong too. Most kids would be looking around at the truck or at me, at something, but they weren't. Just still. The one in front spoke again. "We need a ride." Same tone, same calm delivery, no urgency, no explanation, just the request. I looked past them out into the lot, and nothing, no movement, no headlights, no sign that they belonged anywhere near that place. And I felt it then. It was clear and simple. Don't open the door. It didn't come from panic and it didn't come from fear. Just pure instinct, like how you just know you shouldn't pat a bear. I shook my head. It was a small movement. I didn't even realize I did it at first. They didn't get frustrated and he didn't change his tone. He just stepped closer. Onto the step. Right up to the glass. Close enough that if the window were open, he could reach me. And that's when it hit me. His eyes. There wasn't anything there. Black. A void that swallowed all light, and felt like I'd lose part of me if I stared too long. There was nothing behind them at all. A child's eyes are vibrant, hopeful, and inquisitive. These were just bruised, strained skin surrounding the bottomless pits where a child's eyes should be. I leaned back, not far, just a subtle action fueled by the instinct to run, but the inability to get away. The second one lifted his head then, slowly. Same thing, same eyes. Watching. Both of them. No emotion, no expression, just waiting. Let us in. Same voice, same tone. The voice echoed in my ears, in my mind, deep. I didn't answer. I just stood there, listening to that feeling telling me the same thing again. Don't open the door. After a few seconds, I moved, deliberately, kept my eyes on them as I shifted back toward the sleeper, and the keys were behind me. I left them there when I shut the truck down. And I didn't want to break eye contact, but I had to, just for a second. That's all. I reached back, grabbed the keys, turned around, and they were gone. No footsteps, no movement, no sound, just gone. The space where they had been standing empty, the lot was exactly how it had been before, still and quiet, nothing there. I stared at the door for a second, waiting for something, another knock, a voice, anything. Nothing came. I looked out, across the lot. There was nowhere for them to go, no cover, no direction they could have walked without me seeing it. But there was nothing, just the lights and the empty pavement. I didn't wait. I started the truck. The engine turned over, the best sound I've ever heard. It filled the silence. I pulled out of the space and drove straight out of the lot, and I didn't look back, didn't check the mirrors, just left, and told myself that was it, that whatever that was, stayed there. I drove longer than legal, told myself I was making up time, that I was just getting ahead on the route. Truth was, I didn't want to stop again. Not anywhere near there. Every rest area sign, I just kept going. I stayed on the road until the sky started to lighten, just a little, enough to make everything feel normal again. By the time I finally pulled off, it was away. Different state, different lot. Bigger, more lights, a couple other trucks parked across the way. Nothing like the place I left. That helped. Made it easier to push the whole thing aside. I slept a few hours and woke up feeling like I hadn't, but it was enough. Ran the rest of the day without thinking about it. Did the job, kept moving. By the time night came around again, I was tired enough to not care. I pulled into another stop, smaller than the one earlier, but not empty. There was a couple cars, trucks in the fuel island, lights working this time. No dark corners, no reason to think twice. And I parked and shut it down. And I sat there for a minute, hands on the wheel, letting everything settle. I remember thinking it was fine, that it had to be. That's what made sense. That's what I told myself. So I hopped in the back, and closed my eyes, and waited for the quiet to take over again. It didn't. The knock came quicker this time. Same spot, same rhythm, close. I didn't move. I didn't look right away. I already knew. Felt it. Then I snuck a peek out the window, and they were there. Same distance from the door, same position, same stillness, like they'd been standing there the entire time, waiting for me to look. The lot behind them hadn't changed. Cars still there, trucks fueling, lights steady, everything normal, except them. The one in front stepped up to the door again. Same face, same expression, same eyes. Can we come in? No change in tone, no urgency, just the question. A question that seemed so easy to answer, yet so dangerous to do so. I didn't answer. Didn't even shake my head this time. I just watched. The second one lifted his head. Same slow movement, same empty look. I glanced past them quickly just to confirm what I already knew, that there are people out there. Cars and movement and someone getting out of a vehicle near the far side of the lot. And no one was reacting. No one was looking over, like they couldn't see them, or like they weren't there at all. I looked back at the door. They hadn't moved, but they felt closer. Can we come in? Still calm, still patient. I reached for the keys without taking my eyes off them this time. I started the truck, and the engine roared, a cacophony of sound that filled the space in my mind those eyes seemed to be searching for. The one in front didn't flinch, didn't step back, didn't react at all, just stood there, watching. I put it in gear, then I moved, pulled forward, slowly at first, then faster, past them, out into the lot. I checked the mirror, and I didn't want to, but I did. There was nothing behind me, no kids, just empty space where they should have been. I drove the rest of the night. I didn't stop again, didn't sleep again, and didn't give myself the chance. By the time I got home, I felt like I'd been running the whole time, heart racing just on a normal drive. I pulled into my driveway just after sunrise, and everything looked normal, same as always. Houses, street, neighbors' trash cans left out to stop people from parking in front of his house. Nothing out of place, and that helped more than anything. So I stood there, just letting the normal wash over me, let the quiet come back. I went inside and told myself it was over, that it stayed out there, on the road, where it belonged. I slept most of the day, and I woke up late. Sun had already gone down. House was dark except for the living room, and I could hear the TV, faint. My wife was up, moving around, normal sounds, normal life. I went to the restroom, no need to explain what was going on in there. Then I heard it, a knock, light, from the front door. Same rhythm, same spacing. My stomach dropped before I even moved. I stepped into the living room. She was already at the door. I lost my breath. I didn't move fast enough. She opened it. I saw them, standing there, same as before. Same faces. The one in front looked up past her, at me, and spoke. "Thank you for letting us in." She hesitated, like she was trying to understand what she was looking at. What? That's as far as she got. I took a step forward, opened my mouth, but nothing came out. They had been waiting. What you just heard is based on many encounters with entities known as the Black-Eyed Children. They're usually described as children or teenagers with pale skin and completely black eyes. Witnesses often report them asking for help, or asking for a ride, or asking to be let inside a home or a vehicle. And that detail matters because they don't force their way in, they request permission. The most commonly cited origin for the modern Black-Eyed Children story comes from Brian Bethel, a Texas reporter who described an encounter in Abilene, Texas in 1996. Bethel said he was sitting in his car outside a strip mall when two boys approached and asked for a ride. According to his account, they wanted to go to their mother's house before catching a movie. He described feeling sudden fear before noticing their eyes were completely black. Bethel later wrote about the encounter online, and his story spread through paranormal mailing lists and early internet communities. This initial report spurred people to share their experiences, and details vary depending on the source, but the pattern is familiar. Black-eyed children appear unexpectedly, ask for entry or assistance, and create an intense feeling of fear before anything overtly threatening happens. From there, the reports spread. Over time, black-eyed children became associated with doorsteps, parked cars, late-night encounters, and isolated roads. The children are almost always calm. They usually speak politely. They don't behave like frightened kids. The fear doesn't come from what they do. It comes from the sense that something is wrong before the witness can explain why. Another commonly reported detail is the request itself. They need to use a phone. They need a ride. They need to come inside. They need help. But the request is always framed in a way that puts the witness in control. The person being approached has to choose whether to open the door, unlock the car, or let them in. In 2014, reports of a black-eyed child in Cannock Chase, England received media attention after several sightings in the area. The story was linked to sightings going back decades. And unlike the Exeter incident, there are no police reports, official investigations, or physical evidence that confirm black-eyed children. The hard part of paranormal encounters is the disbelief and lack of proof, but when patients, animals, or even nature itself is observed, the proof or evidence comes from repeatable results or observations. And the black-eyed children stories repeat the same details again and again. Children appear where they shouldn't. They ask to be let in. They create immediate dread. Their eyes are completely black. And if the witness refuses, the encounter ends without explanation. That consistency is what makes this powerful, whether viewed as paranormal encounter, ghost interaction, alien visitation, demonic entity, or something else entirely. The structure stays the same. Something appears when you're at the edge of safety, late at night, alone, far from help. I believe these encounters are real. I've been out there, parked alone at a desert truck stop with one working light and nothing around for miles. And across the highway was an abandoned motel. The kind of place you don't look at too long because your mind will see something that you rather it hadn't. And I remember that feeling, that pull in your gut that tells you to leave right now. No reason you can explain, just go. And I listened. Over the years, I've seen enough things that didn't make sense, and enough moments that didn't line up, enough stories from people who had no reason to lie, so I don't dismiss encounters like this. And looking back on that night now, I understand something I didn't then. I was isolated, in the dark, exactly where these stories happen. And if I had heard knocking on my door, I don't think they would have been the ones in need of help.